So David Benavidez will be facing off against Jesse Hart in December. Right now, a lot of reports coming out that he'll be facing Dave Morrell in December. That's not gonna happen. Dave Morrell already has a date set up, and opponents are already picked out, or he has a list of opponents he's already been looking at. Um, Morrell and Benavidez could have been fought. I don't think that's an issue of those guys getting in the ring. The thing about it was Dave Benavidez tried to fight Munguia last year before the Morrell fight kind of blew over. And now they're in a position right now where those guys can fight at 175 next year. So the earliest that fight can happen for me is probably next year, from what I've received. I don't think that fight's going to be happening anytime soon this year. Morrell's fighting on December 21st, which is the same day as Fury and Usyk. I just don't think, from the business aspect, that's not going to happen. And I don't think David Benavidez said anything about that recently. He has no problem with fighting David Morrell, but it's just not, those guys are not trying to fight each other right now because David Benavidez has bigger and better opponents in front of him than just David Morrell. And at 168, they could have eventually fought. But Morrell only has, 10 or 11 fights right now? So he really hasn't got adjusted to 175 yet after just one fight. And people started to realize that after the last fight, they thought he was going to stop the guy. I was more so leaning towards 12 round, but I kind of talked myself into a knockout. But I honestly, in my heart, I knew it was going to be a long stretch. Just because Morrell hasn't been fighting that type of competition on the regular. And I try to warn a lot of people about that. Against lesser opponents, you will look very decent. But when you're young and you don't have that many pro fights under your belt, haven't been in a lot of 12-round fights, that starts to get difficult. I mean, how many 12-round fights has he been in at this point? That's a good question to ask. But Dave Benavidez has tried to fight all these guys. And the guys he sparred is better than some of these guys that some of these people get in the ring with. And David Morrell, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12-round fights. So he started off early like Benavidez. Benavidez, I think he has around 12, about 10 to 12, 12-round fights. So Morrell hasn't really went 12 rounds except once, 1, 2, 3 times. And he's only went over 6 rounds 3 times. So a guy who's only went 12 rounds 3 times, yeah, he definitely needs some rounds under him. Just like I was saying about Berlanga. If Berlanga would have had a lot more rounds, people don't know it, but he hasn't had that many rounds under his belt. If he would have had a lot more rounds under his belt, Stu would be an animal right now. He'll be dominating. I'm talking about if Berlanga had a lot more rounds, he would have gave Canelo a way worse beating than what Canelo got in that fight. And a lot of people definitely overlooked that. But David Benavidez will be fighting Jesse Hart in December. It's just too many. They're not going to put two big fights. This is where the business of boxing comes in. They're not going to put two big fights on the same day. Not two major pay-per-views. It doesn't make sense. Because now you're going to put the fans in a position where, okay, well, I don't want to buy that one. I'll buy this one. Or I don't want to buy that one, so I'll buy that one. Then you're going to have them watching boxing all day from the morning to the night. A lot of people don't watch boxing like that. They only watch the main card or whoever their favorite fighter is, and then they kind of move on. So it's a lot of different things that go into this picture, but David Benavidez, he's going to fight everybody. I mean, that's a fighter that you really don't have to worry about him fighting anybody. He's going to fight anybody and everybody that fans want to see. It's these other guys you got to beg to fight top competition. These other guys who got 5 or 6 knockouts in the last 5 years, you ain't got to worry about guys like that. I think David Benavidez has like 5 knockouts in the last 4 years. You ain't got to worry about him. Trust me. He gonna get the job done. These other guys you got to worry about though.